We are back, but we are in beautiful, sunny Perth. We work Perth. I've been away for 2 weeks. Not away, but I've been here, but away. So I thought I'd jump on whilst I'm traveling and make a bit of an update. Also go through a couple of things that, I've seen in my YouTube comments recently about automation, how to get better at it. So I'll talk about that first, then I'll share some updates after. And then we'll go for it. So anyway, so a couple of questions that I've been kind of asked recently is how to actually get better at automating things. Now, this is like a double-edged sword, because getting better at something, you literally just have to do it. You can't just sit there and watch YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video, which is very easy these days, especially when it comes to technical skills, because you'll just get stuck, learning by watching someone else do it, but not actually applying it yourself is really tough. So I find a lot of people, when they want to start doing this as a business, they will, start thinking about what offer they can do and what service they can provide. And if they happen to get a client, they've got no idea actually how to fulfill on it. So one thing that I'm going to break down in this is, how I kind of got better at automation, and also how you can do it too. So obviously there's not just one size fits all when it comes to this kind of thing, but I'll just talk about how I did it and how you can potentially do it too. So when I started out, I worked essentially for free. Now, I know that not everyone is in the position to do this, so I'm going to have some information on how to kind of get better without having to do that. But I worked for free. So I went to people that were around me, and I was working with at the time, and I offered to automate parts of their business because I was simply found it interesting. And then, I got my first client kind of by accident, just being in the right place at the right time, who needed something similar to what I'd done previously. So I knew I could do it. And then I was introduced to my first client by a client of mine, second client, I guess. And it was a very warm handover. And basically they said, hey, he's done this for me, he can do it for you. And in this situation, I didn't have to worry too much about sales. I didn't have to worry too much about, displaying it. It's because they took the other client's word for it. They were able to pick it up very easily. So for me, easiest way was, doing it for free first, and then someone else having a very, very, very warm handover. If you don't have those kind of connections and you are looking to just get better at automation so you can feel more confident in crafting an offer and pitching to people, I would start with two major things. So the first one is join a community of people already doing automation as a business. There are tons out there. A lot of your favorite YouTubers have them. Inside there, you will meet people who are already doing this as a business. Now, what I want you to do is look at what those people are actually providing, and then start building some test automations yourself. So what that could look like is, you say you join an automation community, and I'm in there, and I've shared a post about how I use algorithms to automate fitness training or delegate training programs. And you think to yourself, oh, well, that's very interesting. And, I could kind of build that on my own. Let's see if I can take what Matt does and apply it in my own situation. So then you take my use case, you apply it in a testing environment, and then you gain the experience that way. So instead of working for free and asking people to work for them for free, you can take other people's work, build it yourself, and use that to get reps in. Now, this is something that I probably wish I did more, and I do it now, but it's something that I wish, because I'm still learning as well, I'm still improving. The reason I wish I did this more is because I would have understood the capabilities of automation and building systems. I would have seen how big that horizon actually is, and not my narrow train of thought. Well, because when I got started, I was just like, onboarding is my jam, I'm going to nail onboarding. However, it's kind of hard to just go in with just one track mind when it comes to automation, and I was very much one track minded. That's how I got into automating training and all of that kind of stuff. It's not just send email when new client signs up. So that's one thing. So get into these communities and find people who are already doing it. Because one, it's a genuine experience that they have because they're already doing it. And two, it's relevant to someone's problem. So that's really important. I think that's something that you can really do. And a lot of these automation platforms will have a free trial. I know Make has a very hefty free trial. Zapier does have a free trial, but it's a little bit shit. And you can only do a little bit in there, like one-step zaps, so it's kind of lame. Screw Zapier for that. But you'll be able to build out a kind of a portfolio that you can then take into other client calls, whatever. When you do start to prospect for your first client, you can show them what you've built and they will be able to see it and be like, oh, this is great. So that's one thing that I wanted to kind of touch on. Because one thing with automation is like a lot of people want to get better at it before they actually start, which I totally understand. I think you should. I think you should get good at automating things before you start selling it. Specifically because this is a skill that you actually need to build. It's not like I can't even think of an example off the top of my head. It's not like something where you can like sell it first and then rely on your experience to get you through, unless you've been automating for a while and you're just new to business. If you're learning automation and doing business at the same time, you should probably get some reps in first. So contrary to what I've done in the past, I've sold first and then implement and learn second. However, whenever I did that, yes, it was really good for experience, but it bit me in the ass too many times and, kind of wish I didn't do it as much, but hey, preparation helps. So I hope you found that interesting and I hope you found that valuable. But I'll provide a bit of an update. So what's been going on? So the last 2 weeks, I've been, in and out of WeWork, home, traveled to Perth, here for a week. And here for personal reasons, but I'm still working, which is kind of cool. Also, the fact that you can go to any WeWork if you have a WeWork membership is severely underrated. I'm here on a Saturday. There's no one here. I've got a mini content studio and I've been working pretty much the whole morning. So in terms of like what I'm currently working on, my update from a previous video is my cold email. So my cold email, I ended up getting... I'll bring it up here. I'll show you the stats. It was pretty crap. My response rate for this outbound gym build that I was doing was pretty terrible. And I reflected on it and I looked into kind of why it might be so poor. And I think I have an answer as to why. And I think the main reason, and this is what a lot of people struggle with, is this offer was just shit. It just didn't really have the weight behind it for someone to look at it and go, oh, this is amazing, right? And I tried to look at this data wise and think about, maybe it's my script or this or that or whatever, and I just threw that kind of out of the window, and I'm just at the point where I'm like, if it was a really good offer, then people would have gone after it. So I've got my stats here. Now, this is a very small batch size, 733 people, open rate of 5%, so 40 people opened it. Reply rate is literally 1. And someone said they were interested, I replied to them, and then they didn't reply. And I replied again, and they didn't reply, so I got ghosted. So, great. Open rate at 5% is super low, in my personal opinion. I would prefer this at 30% and then a reply rate of 5%. But yeah, I think the offer in this wasn't that good. So I'm just looking at my script here. Just wondering if you're struggling to charge more per new client signed. The reason I ask is because I build automations for gyms that allow them to add an easy upsell. So this with this one, I think the big kicker is just wondering if you're struggling to charge more with new client signed. This actually might even upset some gym owners. And I've thought about this I've mulled this over for a while, and looking at this first line, most gym owners are struggling to even sign a client, let alone charge more for them. And if I opened with that, I would probably turn off a lot of people really quickly. And so I looked at this again and thought, how could I probably improve this if I did want to do something similar? And I then came to the conclusion that the offer was probably just pretty shit. So instead of asking if they want to charge more per client signed, I should have been looking at this from a different angle. And with the leads that I had, this might be more beneficial if I actually turned around and was like, do you want to bring in more clients? And then, provide an automated solution to scrape local leads, or, in order to help them build out a lead magnet that they can advertise around their city or in their club to upsell people into coaching and training or whatever it might be. So that offer in itself, I think, was the biggest reason that it didn't do so well. So I think, it's just interesting data. I'm new to cold email, and it's just a new game. So obviously I've run a couple of campaigns in the last couple of weeks, months or so. I've jumped into a construction campaign and this actually, performed better than the gym campaign with a very small sample size. And, 300 emails sent, 9% open rate. So 28 people opened. And the reason, I can't even remember what I was going to, this one I was going to automate Google reviews. So I was just testing out different offers to see if I could get some data. And my opening line for this was actually pretty damn good. Is this company name on address? So what I did was I went into a Google Sheet. I scraped the leads. I went into a Google Sheet and I scraped out and split the first part of their street address and their the next part. So Hindmarsh Avenue. And so is this Hindmarsh Plumbing on Hindmarsh Avenue? So ideally, I would have these all be lowercase because then it looks more organic and not as automated. Email was, hey mate, notice you're sitting around 14 Google reviews, so I pulled their Google reviews as well. That number can increase pretty quickly with some of our tech, increase the quality of leads that you get, increases the quality of leads you get with more 5-star views, worth a chat. I actually think this is a better cold email than my previous one. So super organic, super simple. However, it seems that either my sample size was too small to actually get a genuine a genuine gauge on if this offer is important to them, or it just wasn't, as much as it playing on the end result of, getting increased lead quality. So if we have a look at the next one here, my next step was Google review count plus 20 equals ? So that's a pretty increase. So basically what I'm assuming here is, 14 plus 20 equals 34. 34. 34? Yes, 34. Jesus. That's a pretty big increase. An extra 20 reviews from your clients. I find a lot of businesses struggle to ask for reviews using our tech. It puts you a review generation on autopilot. Keen on hearing more. So just real simple stuff. But I think these are actually really good cold emails. The final one is my piece de la resistance. Free 7-Eleven coffee. If you don't know what 7-Eleven coffee in Australia, if you're not from Australia and you want to know what this is, so 7-Eleven coffee it was originally $1 coffee, but now it's $2 coffee. And it's not bad, all things considered. It's just a machine coffee. And tradespeople love getting these coffees because it's real easy just to stop by and get one and like a muffin or whatever. So my next email was, I'm pretty crap at writing these emails, good at bringing in reviews though. If you jump on a call with me and you feel like it's a waste of your time, your next 7-Eleven coffee is on me. The $2 ones though, bloody sin, they upped it from $1. This is very on brand with tradespeople here, and I'm trying to speak their language, and I thought it would work. Turns out it didn't work too well. So, I'm happy that I got out and tried this one. I thought it was very interesting, and it was, it got some opens, and people it did pretty well. All things considered, if I kept this running, I would have assumed that I would at least got a couple of replies. And the leads for this, I had quite a few leads, I think. 3,500 leads. So I would have got a decent amount of information out of that. So, my cold email attempts have been dismal so far, but I think it's really interesting to start getting this information and start like kind of learning what's good and what's kind of shit. However, I took on a client that is going to take up a better part of the next month or so with my additional time. So I took on someone it's a bigger project than I normally do. So I kind of don't have the time to take on more clients as it stands if it's not just like a productized service. Like I have my VAs and they can fulfill on things. However, when it comes to building out these solutions, I'm finding that, you know, a virtual assistant in the Philippines or India or whatever, yes, they can use Make, yes, they can use Zapier, but they don't have the big picture, or at least I haven't found people with the big picture ability to like actually automate things. I saw a guy on Twitter, I can't remember his name. He was speaking about automation and how if you think automation is just like trigger action, you're completely wrong and you're missing the point. And he used the example of if you were to automate making 1,000 cheese toasties, right? Or something like cheese sandwiches, right? And if your action is get bread and if your trigger is get bread and the action is place cheese on bread, and then the next action is put cheese in toast machine, you're entirely wrong. And what you should be thinking of is like, is the cheese in date? Where's the bread order come from? How often do you have to cycle through toasters? How many hours of machine being online is going to cost you, like in electricity? Like, how can you how can you detect if cheese is moldy? All that kind of stuff. So I read that and I was like, he's onto something. He's 100% correct, because I don't want to blow my own horn, but that's what the things that I kind of think about in the long run, in like the bigger picture of things. So, you know, if I was just to offload a project to a virtual assistant or a team member or whatever, I would not be 100% confident that they would be able to run with it and think of all of the extra parts. So a lot of the build work that I'm doing is myself, and, you know, I've still got my clients that I need to continuously fulfill on. And yeah, I'm just growing. I'm growing pains, I guess. And I don't expect me to get out of this phase for like at least another year, like quite frankly speaking, because that'll give me enough time to like build up enough reoccurring rev and, you know, set good boundaries with my clients and all that kind of stuff to, you know, be able to delegate more. So I think these things take time, and I'm happy to share that information with you. So I hope you found this valuable. Again, I enjoyed this style of video. Hope to make more. Peace.